Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, know nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. We always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault, episode 436. Speakers for the webinar announced. Definitely want to do this episode, maybe a very brief episode, but we definitely want to cover this because quite a few people are listening and new listeners, and we want to actually cover that it's never just Trust Christian in the Vault, the voice that you hear. The Vault actually has a team. We have a team of quite a few people that we work with that are in this space. When we talk about the private foundations, we talk about foundations, we talk about charity, when we talk about trusteeship, we actually have quite a few resources that we work with. So we definitely want to go over some of the speakers today. We may be doing some episodes with them. So it's going to be critical for you to really just focus in and hone in on the channel. We don't produce, hours and hours upon content, but we do produce content that relates to our trustees and relates to families that we work with and things of that nature. So this is episode 436. Speakers for the webinar announced. So this is one of those episodes that when we talk about the speakers for the webinar coming up here on the 19th, I'm going to go ahead and put that on the screen for you all so you all can see that we do have a webinar coming up. It is for trustees and non-trustees, so you can still solidify your position and get into the actual webinar. It's going to be a great one. We look forward to connecting with the families or individuals that decide to actually partake and join with us. It's always a pleasure. When we talk about investing for permanent industries, um, that's not only just going to be covered by Trust Christian and Vault, it's going to be covered by actually a new party that we have, a resource that is going to be provided for families that we've made it a point to reach out. So when we talk about international and networking opportunities, that's something that we've talked about for years at the Vault, which is having a network, but not just having a network of investment opportunities for your family. And you need a network of different opportunities so you can decipher which one you're going to go into, whether it's schools, hospitals, whoever, public municipalities. We definitely are going to have a close relationship that we built resources. And so the fee that you see on the screen, if you are a non-trustee, is really just a entry fee and an introductory fee. We have invested time into these relationships, and so it's just a opportunity for us to continue to go out and get these relationships and allow us to provide these relationships to you all coming from the vault. So that's definitely going to be one. Uh, Private family banking. We definitely invest strategically from the charitable position, from the foundation position. A lot of times, a lot of families, uh, when you talk about it in the foundation perspective or the charitable perspective, they don't utilize the banking from that perspective. What they do though is they move in a position where they may be doing it from some other position, but specifically from a charitable position. Where you talk about your major institutions in the United States, big endowments, all have a banking element to them because they are investing. So we're definitely going to feature those parties and those families, feature the parties to those families actually at this webinar. Avoiding probate and estate liens and compliance. This is actually going to come from one of the lawyers and some of the lawyers actually that we work with. So we're going to have more than one lawyer sit in the room. So when you talk about compliance, you're getting the opportunity to connect with these relationships. It is private trustee training. We are going to do some continuing education from this webinar. So it's not just going to be a complete one-off. Even though it is a one-off, because we're all offering those relationships. You're going to have those resources. We are going to be offering continuing education program for our trustees. If you haven't enrolled in a trustee training program for the foundations, we are going to be offering actually some good deals for that with the families, so you can actually have those relationships and the training at the same time. Going into the new year, it's going to help and allow you to actually continue that relationship with the vault, specifically in education, going through to the actual new year 2023, and have some type of you know guide and making sure that you're in compliance. It is a lot to deal with within your first 2 years. You're going to deal with the most work, and so just allowing our trustees to have a smooth ride in the respect of compliance is really, really important. Like we say, we've always made it a point to provide a continuing education program for our trustees, so you're never out of really trusteeship. You're always investing in your private family education when we talk about trusteeship. And so we definitely want to, feature those parties that we work with, the new relationships that we work with, and some of the new relationships that we've developed over the past few months and years. These are private families, private individuals that we work with. And so, we somebody says, "Oh, you didn't name any names." We don't need to name names. The listeners that have listened to the vault for years, if you're a new listener, it is public versus private foundation. So, the parties that are involved in the private family foundations traditionally are working with high net worth individuals, high net worth families. um, so it's no need to have to put their name out there. The biggest thing is focusing on what they're going to be providing and what we're talking about providing. In this particular webinar, we're very focused on investing in permanent industries. We're very focused on private family banking from the charity. Very focused on avoiding probate and estate liens, specifically when it talks about passing along wealth from one generation to the next, in compliance and charity, specifically in whether it's in public or private foundations. So we're going to be coming at it from a very strategic. This is a webinar that has been addressed uh, per our trustees throughout the years. We're just going over the details that we seen throughout the years that trustees have run into these pitfalls. So we're going to go over these things with our trustees, and we look forward to going over these things with our trustees in the foundation webinar. So once again, this is the public versus private foundation webinar. Feel free to reach out hfrn period vault at gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from all of the trustees. We've already had quite a few trustees reach out and non-trustees reach out, specifically in the foundation or not in the foundation. It's going to be a great one as usual because we're focused on the needs of the families that we work with originally, but we're allowing the doors to be open to non-trustees. So it should be of some benefit to non-foundation trustees. But these resources aren't traditionally provided to our trustees or people that are in the public, we should say. So these are private foundation resources that we've cultivated. When you talk about, uh, getting the details, making sure you have elite relationships at a very high level. And so we're just gonna, make it a point to do that. So once again, we are gonna have some lawyers in the building. We are gonna have some private family bankers in the building, and we are gonna have international network relationships for foundations. When people talk about, oh man, I want to get around, elite foundations, to be able to see if they can pass along that 5% to our foundation or other families. Even in trusteeship, uh, for traditional trust, we're definitely looking forward to featuring those relationships. It is going to be a Saturday. Is it going to be from 9:30 to 2:30? And we uh, may stay on a little bit longer for Q&A, but for the most part, we're just going to be covering these things and really just introducing the families to these relationships, but at the same time providing tip of the iceberg conversations and focused on in-depth conversation around investing in permanent industries, private family banking. And we're talking about doing this all inside of charity. We're not talking about this from any outside C Corps, trust. We're talking about LLCs. We're talking about specifically from the foundation, where the foundation can help you and your family live out your perfect calendar. So many people say, oh man, I want to live out my dreams. I want to do something charitable. The Private Family Foundation is going to allow you to do that. We sat in a room for years where the families were introduced to this information, talking about living off your perfect calendar. But we're talking about doing it from a position where you're establishing relationships. And the reason why you're able to establish these relationships is because you're in trusteeship, because people in trust deal with people in trust. Always has been and always will be. We look forward to hearing from you all. hfrn.vault at gmail.com. The email is on the screen. We look forward to hearing from you all with this webinar. We're definitely going to cut off registration. Uh, Most likely the 20, what is that, the 17th. Going to cut off registration, and then we're sending out the link the night before, the 18th, and then the 19th we'll be ready to rock and roll. We're never begging for people to do anything with the vault. We already have a strong base, a strong audience. We work off referral basis. We have for years, but there's so many people that they don't know, and this is one of those webinars to share with them to know. We look forward to hearing from you. hfrn.vault at gmail.com. Once again, that's hfrn.vault at gmail.com. Even if you want to just go through regular trustee training, there will be a package and announcement on the webinar for you all as well. So look forward to that. But if you want to get in early and start rolling before we actually get to that webinar so you can get some questions answered, feel free. We're going to bundle up the consultations up until this point for the webinar with the actual price of the actual webinar. So not only are we going to do the webinar for $350, we're also going to do the consultations thrown in there as well. So you get a bundle package of webinar and a consultation rate before this webinar. We don't have to do it, but we look forward to doing it. Look forward to hearing from you. hfrn.vault at gmail.com. Consultation and webinar all included. Look forward to hearing from you. hfrn.vault at gmail.com.